Have you ever caught yourself thinking, well, I guess that's just part of getting old? Maybe it was after a stiff knee getting out of bed, or forgetting where you left your glasses. Again, it's almost like we've been trained to expect things to go downhill after a certain age. And honestly, it's no wonder. The world is full of little whispers and not so little messages telling us what aging is supposed to look like. Slower, weaker, less sharp, less important. But what if I told you that a lot of those ideas are completely wrong? Here's the truth. Aging doesn't mean fading away. And just because you've hit 60 or 70 or beyond, doesn't mean you have to settle for less energy, less joy, or less purpose. In fact, believing some of these common myths about aging can quietly hold you back from living your life fully. They sneak into your thinking, limit your confidence, and stop you from doing things you can still enjoy or even get better at. That's why today, I want to talk about 4 of the most dangerous myths about aging and why it's time to let them go. Let's start with the one I hear all the time, the idea that it's normal to slow down after 60, so why bother trying to stay active? Now, sure, we might not have the same bounce in our step as we did in our 30s, but that doesn't mean our bodies were designed to sit around and shrink into the couch. The truth is, the more we believe this myth, the more likely we are to fall into a pattern of inactivity. And what happens when we stop moving? Our muscles weaken, our joints stiffen, our balance fades, and all that accelerates aging, not the other way around. I once met a gentleman at a community center who told me, I thought walking around the block was the best I could do. Then someone invited me to a Tai Chi class. Fast forward 3 months, he was moving with more ease, sleeping better, and even said his back pain had eased up. The lesson? Our bodies often give back what we give to them. Staying active, even just in small ways, is one of the best tools we have to stay healthy, mobile, and independent. But here's the twist. This isn't about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. It's about consistency. A daily walk, light stretching, dancing in the living room to your favorite songs. Anything that gets your body moving and blood flowing. You don't have to keep up with anyone but yourself. And the more you move, the more you'll want to move. It's a beautiful cycle, but it starts with dropping that myth that slowing down is just how it has to be. Now, let's talk about another belief that can really sneak up on us. The idea that forgetfulness equals cognitive decline. How many times have you lost your keys and then said to yourself, ugh, I must be getting old? Or walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there, only to chalk it up to age? Look, we all have those moments. But forgetting something now and then doesn't mean your brain is deteriorating. And assuming it does can create a kind of fear that makes you pull back from learning, exploring, or challenging yourself, when that's exactly what your brain needs. Think about it. If a 30-year-old misplaces their phone, they just say they're distracted. But if someone over 60 does it, they start worrying it's a sign of something serious. The problem isn't the forgetfulness. It's what we tell ourselves about it. What many people don't realize is that the brain can keep growing and changing all throughout life. This is called neuroplasticity. It's like your brain's way of saying, hey, I'm still open for business. And it responds beautifully to things like learning a new skill, social interaction, puzzles, reading, or even just meaningful conversation. I remember a woman in her 70s who decided to learn Spanish so she could talk with her grandkids in their native language. She started slow, just 10 minutes a day, but over time, she said it helped her focus more easily, and she even began remembering names better, not because her memory was suddenly perfect, but because she was keeping her brain engaged. So next time you forget where you put your phone, try not to panic. Laugh it off, retrace your steps, and maybe even challenge your brain a bit that day. The more you use it, the stronger it stays. It's not about avoiding every little slip-up. It's about building confidence that your mind is still capable. What really matters as we get older isn't whether we're perfect. It's whether we're engaged. And both your body and your brain want to be part of the action. So instead of believing you have to slow down and accept mental fog as your new normal, what if you gave yourself the gift of curiosity again? Because here's the thing, age doesn't take away our potential. These myths do. And once we start replacing them with the truth, that's when real change happens. You start to feel more energized, more confident, and more connected to the world around you. Now that we've covered how movement and mindset play a role, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something else. Something many people quietly carry with them after 60 that can be even more limiting than physical aches or memory slips. And that's a belief that it's too late to start something new. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you've said it. I'm too old to learn that now. I wish I had started earlier. That ship has sailed. Let me stop you right there, because that ship, it hasn't sailed. It's still docked, waiting for you, and it'll leave when you say so. This idea that we're somehow past our prime when it comes to learning, growing, or trying new things is one of the most damaging myths out there. And unfortunately, it's one that too many people take to heart. Think about how often we label new hobbies, careers, or adventures as things only for the young, like learning an instrument, picking up painting, starting a small business, or even falling in love again. There's a silent pressure that says, well, you should have done that decades ago. But let me ask you something. What rule book are we following? Who made these rules? And why are we still listening to them? I met a man once, 72 years old, who had always wanted to write a novel. For years, he said he'd waited for the right time, but life just kept moving. Then one day he thought, why not now? He sat down at his old desktop computer, opened a blank document, and started typing. Was it perfect right away? No. But that wasn't the point. The point was he finally gave himself permission to begin, and that alone lit a fire in him that had been missing for years. Starting something new doesn't have to be dramatic or risky. It can be something as simple as taking a watercolor class at the library, joining a local book club, or planting a small herb garden. These aren't just hobbies, they're lifelines. They keep you connected to yourself, to others, and to the joy of discovering what else you're capable of. And here's the kicker. When you try something new after 60, you're not doing it to impress anyone. You're not chasing a career or a paycheck or a trophy. You're doing it for the sheer joy of it, for the pleasure of learning, the satisfaction of progress, and the thrill of surprising yourself. If you've been holding back because you think you miss your window, please hear this. Your window is now, today, not 5 years ago, not when you were 40. The beauty of getting older is that we often have more time, more patience, and more wisdom than we ever did before. And those are exactly the things that help you succeed when you start something new. Now let's look at a closely related myth. One that says you're no longer needed, that your role in life is mostly over, and it's time to sit back and let the younger generations take the wheel. I can't tell you how many people after retirement have looked around and quietly thought, what's my purpose now? Let me be clear. Retirement may mean stepping away from a job, but it doesn't mean stepping away from meaning. You still matter. Your experiences matter. Your voice, your presence, your ideas, they still matter. And they're needed, maybe now more than ever. One of the most dangerous things about this myth is that it can lead people to shrink their world, to stop speaking up, stop connecting, stop engaging. And when that happens, we start to feel isolated, unnecessary, forgotten. But the truth is, every stage of life has value, and the wisdom that comes with age, that's something no one else can replicate. Think of all the people around you, neighbors, family, community members, who could benefit from your perspective. Maybe it's your grandkids who light up when you tell them stories about your childhood, or the young couple next door who are figuring out how to raise their first child. Or someone in your church group who just needs to hear that they're not alone in their struggles. Purpose doesn't always look like a big mission. Sometimes it's as simple as showing up, listening, encouraging, being present in someone's life in a way that says, I see you, you matter. And yes, your purpose might change over time. That's natural, but it never disappears. You still have so much to give, and the world around you still has so much to offer in return. The idea that you're done making a difference is not only false, it's deeply unfair to everything you still can do. I remember a woman who volunteered at an animal shelter after her husband passed away. She told me, I thought I was just going to be cleaning cages, but it turns out those animals needed me as much as I needed them. She found new purpose in a place she never expected, and in doing so, brought a whole new kind of joy into her life. That's what happens when we stop believing the myths and start trusting that we're still capable, still needed, still alive in the truest sense of the word. So, if you ever felt like your best days are behind you, I want to gently challenge that. What if some of your most fulfilling moments are still ahead? What if there are friendships you haven't made yet, laughs you haven't laughed yet, talents you haven't discovered yet? Aging isn't the end of the road. It's just another chapter. And if you're willing to let go of these old, dusty myths, you might just find that this chapter has more color, more meaning, and more life than you ever imagined. And that brings us to the final myth I want to talk about, the one that whispers, decline is inevitable, so why fight it? Now, this one might hit close to home. We've all heard it in one form or another. Maybe someone said it directly to you, or maybe it just floated into your thoughts after a tough day. This is just how it is when you're older. It's all downhill from here. And let me tell you something. This myth is sneaky because it sounds like acceptance, but it's actually resignation. And there's a big difference between the two. Accepting your age means honoring where you are in life, being kind to your body, and recognizing the wisdom you've earned. But resigning to decline, that's giving up the fight before it even begins. And the truth is, so much of what we think is just part of aging is actually preventable, manageable, or even reversible. Yes, your knees might creak a little more than they used to. And sure, you might forget where you left your glasses now and then. But that doesn't mean you can't build strength, sharpen your mind, or even improve your health in ways that truly make a difference. I once met a woman in her late 60s who started doing gentle yoga to help with back pain. She could barely touch her knees when she started. A few months later, she was touching her toes, and more importantly, she was sleeping better, walking taller, and smiling more. She told me, I didn't realize how much tension I was carrying until I let it go. That's the power of choosing progress over passivity. Or there's a man I knew, 75 years old, who began walking with a neighbor every morning. It started as a way to stretch his legs, but over time, it became his favorite part of the day. Not just because of the fresh air, but because of the connection. They talked about everything, memories, regrets, old movies, politics, the weather. And in those walks, something shifted. He wasn't just maintaining his body. He was nurturing his spirit. See, believing that decline is guaranteed strips you of the motivation to even try. But believing that growth is still possible, that gives you your power back. Now, I'm not saying that aging doesn't come with challenges. Of course it does. But those challenges don't define you. They don't get to decide how you live or what kind of joy you can experience. You do. And that's really the heart of everything we've talked about today. The myths that aging means you're no longer useful, that it's too late to start something new, that your body and mind are on an unstoppable downward slide. These are just stories we've been told, and it's time to rewrite them. Because the truth is, life after 60 could be just as full, exciting, and meaningful as any other stage. In fact, for many people, it becomes the most authentic time of their lives. A time when you don't have to prove yourself anymore. When you can let go of what no longer serves you, and finally lean into what makes you feel alive. You might discover that you laugh more freely now, that you listen more deeply, that you're no longer rushing to chase goals, but rather savoring the moments that really matter. Maybe it's a quiet morning coffee, a Sunday phone call with your daughter, or a long conversation with a friend who's known you for 50 years. These things aren't small. They're everything. So if you've been holding yourself back because of these myths, if you believe the lie that your best days are over, I'm here to gently challenge you to let that go. Not all at once, but maybe, just maybe, a little at a time. Try something new. Reach out to someone. Move your body. Feed your mind. Follow your curiosity. Let yourself dream again. Because you deserve to live fully, not just exist. You deserve joy, purpose, peace, growth. Even now, especially now. And if any of this spoke to you, I'd love to hear about it. What myth have you struggled with the most? What helped you overcome it? Or what are you hoping to change moving forward? Share your thoughts down in the comments. I read every one, and they truly mean a lot. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, give a thumbs up so others can find it too. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We got so many more videos just like this, designed to empower, uplift, and support you as you navigate this incredible chapter of life. Remember, small shifts lead to big changes. It's never too late to start, and you're never too old to grow. Every day you wake up is another chance to feel good, do good, and live with intention. Here's to living your best life at any age and refusing to let a single myth hold you back from all the beauty ahead.